So to introduce this grand and glorious topic of construction management, I'd like to share with you a haiku poem written specifically for this occasion. Restless hearts at work, great captains of construction, ever-changing landscapes. In the fall of 2012, U of A, CEM, offered construction management program and adding to the landscape of what we already offer to this department. And just to show you some of the landscapes our students saw this past fall, the county courthouse complex, a great horizontal project, construction by son, Fred Friedel, gave an excellent tour, introduced us to his construction management team. Students could see construction is a big team effort, talked about schedules, coordinating subcontractors. We also visited a site for industrial complex, the Ina Road Treatment Plant. Mike DiNapoli was a great host, provided pizza, lunch for our students, showed us a PowerPoint overview of what was going on at the site. You see these concrete walls poured on the ground being lifted in place, but they also saw a lot of mechanical work, pipes, and other construction going on. We also stayed local on campus. You know, what a great opportunity when our U of A students come back in a couple decades with their sons and daughters as their students to say, hey, I walked that stadium when the rebar was being set and the concrete was being poured. Eric Grenz from Mortensen Construction spent a lot of time with our students in the construction trailer, pasted all over the walls. They could see how you phase construction projects, talk about daily team meetings to coordinate subcontractors, talking about RFIs, submittals, all these things that were new to our students. Another site visit for a horizontal project to the modern streetcar, very unique project in our town right now. Anthony Himes from Granite was a great host. We looked at utility modifications. We looked at the Cherry Street underpass and the structural improvements there. Students could see the process of fusing rail together. So that was a great site visit. So that's the landscape that's around Tucson. Our students are getting exposure to. This is the landscape of our department. We've got these core technical areas, and construction management cuts across all of these, right? Anything that's going to be built in any of these core areas, we need construction management. So this was really something very useful, whether our students are headed to the design area or whether they see construction as their career direction. Lots of benefits there. So how did this come about? So Kevin was hearing from contractors, hey, we love to hire your U of A students, the CEM students. They're great students, good problem solvers, but you know, it would be even better if they could come in with a little bit more exposure to construction management. So Kevin heard that in December of 2011. He sent out an email to some select people to form an advisory group. And the group met in January of 2012, couple meetings, and the question was, if you had one class of construction management for the students you're going to hire next year, what would you want in that class? What would be most practical to give them in that 16 weeks? And so it didn't take long for us to come to consensus. And we had people in the room. Jeremy was part of that group, and we had Sunt and Granite and Ashton and ADOT, PCDOT, URS, Somis, Jacobs. So a lot of the firms providing input to that. Kevin did a great job of organizing us and then bringing that to the faculty. They reviewed it, they approved it, and then it went out to the students. We capped it at 25. It filled up, and we held that class in the fall semester of last year. So what did that look like? We ended up, first day I took a survey, and this is who signed up for it. All civil students. When we asked them areas of interest, I was amazed that any of them said construction, because that wasn't one of the 5 core that we offer. But some of the students, even without that being offered here, see their future in construction. If we offered more, my guess is that would easily increase. Unspecified, I'm not sure. They were all seniors, so I think maybe they misinterpreted the question, or they're just not sure where their career is going or what. But first day of class nervousness.
How often they get?
Yeah, right. Wait and see. So just briefly, you have a handout in the folder. Therese copied this for you. If you turn this first page over, you'll see the course syllabus. So these objectives, there's about 8 of them. They're on this first page. So you can follow along there if you'd like. And this is what that advisory committee came up with. This is what we started out with, and this was my job to figure out how to. What I did was contacted publishers, found out what kind of textbooks are out there. I contacted my graduate advisor at Illinois, talked to him about, he led the CM department or division at Illinois, talked to him, talked to faculty colleagues at Purdue and at Maryland and at Florida, find out what's happening at other places, and then kind of hammered out the details of these. So just real briefly on a couple of these, we won't go into all of them, but just to give you a flavor, so sharing with the students the process of preparing bid packages, advertising, bidding, awarding, and then construction, walkthroughs, closeouts, give them that big picture of what's going on in construction. Determining resource needs and costs, so quantity takeoffs, estimating labor for specific tasks and equipment, how to calculate hours and equipment needs, and then applying costs to that to come up with cost estimates. The second one is legal. One of the aspects of legal is labor. So I don't know if you've been listening to the radio this week, but on National Public Radio, couple mornings this week, they talked about Texas construction. Yesterday was Texas contractors say playing by the rules doesn't pay. 1 million people in Texas are involved in the construction industry. They estimate that half of those are undocumented workers. What kind of issue is that? Is that an engineering issue? Yes, because it's a construction management issue, it's a legal issue, it's something that engineers need to deal with and need to know. So we go over some of the labor issues. Davis-Bacon, Fair Labor Act, a little bit of history of labor law, the structure of unions, etc. So we cover a lot of things in the class to get them exposure to things that they're not used to talking about in their normal engineering curriculum. So schedules, so they got an introduction to MS Project, talked about breaking up project into activities, estimating durations, linking activities, early start, early finish, late start, late finish, float, putting that together. That could be a whole class, but they got a week of it and got some practice with that. Every site that we visited, we talked about change orders and RFIs and submittals. We looked at cash flows, we looked at rate of return, we looked at earned value. Construction safety, we talked about trench safety, scaffolding, ADOSH inspections, safety meetings on site. So a good overview. I'm going to pass this around. This is the book we chose for the class. Halpin is well known in this area. This was a great choice. It worked well, and you can thumb through that if you'd like. Gives some basics. What does the construction industry look like? Goes into detail. So we talked about at the bottom the corner there, you can see equipment cycles. So our students did equipment cycles and learned how to use nomographs to figure out timing. We introduced them to the Caterpillar handbook so they could see in there how to calculate these things, rim pull, all the things. So it wasn't an easy class. They had to work hard. There's, I don't know, when they signed up for construction management, they think they're just going to, talk about organizational behavior and all this kind of stuff, but they're calculating depreciation and cycle times, and they're calculating cash flows, and they're doing a lot of technical work in this class. One of the highlights was just the guest speakers. Every time I called someone up, it was great. They are so willing to help. A lot of enthusiasm. A lot of time I'd call someone up and they would say, yeah, I've heard about your class. We'd love to help. Rob Prezoon and a team from Granite came in a couple of times. Not only that, they invited us to their office on a Friday afternoon to do a mock bid opening. So we had some plans that students did quantity takeoffs, and I'll show you a picture of that in a minute. Eric Silwick from SUNT. So I saw his name on a presentation. I called Travis and I said, do you know Eric? Do you think he would be good? And he said, oh yeah, you got to get him. And he was, you were right, Travis. He was an outstanding presentation. What he calls VDC, Virtual Design and Construction. So not just looking at computers for buildings, but looking at it for how you can use 3D modeling for actual construction purposes. Outstanding. I called Bill Vale at Ashton. He recommended Sean Sylvester, and Kevin Josker's part of AIC. He came and shared. A couple more here. I know Chip Osman from the editorial board of Journal Management and Engineering. We sit on that board together. He came in from California. He was so excited about sharing with our students. So this was really great. Anna talked about partnering, and Jesse Atencio from ADASH came in, gave a great presentation about safety. Here we are at Granite's facilities. You can see on the one side students working in conference rooms. They're putting their bids together, and you know, all of a sudden someone knocks on the door. They come in with the addendum. Oh, change! So they got to rework their numbers, and then you know they've got their paperwork. The secretary comes by to notarize all their documents. You know, they got to put it in the envelope. It's got to be at the front desk. We had some students running to get it in before 3 o'clock. On the right, you see the bid opening, and we're writing the numbers on the board. And there were winners and losers that day. That was a lot of fun. In addition to that, students got to choose their own construction site that they would visit informally, just to observe week by week what was going on, and they would submit weekly reports, share photos, and identify, hey, what's going on with labor, equipment, materials, traffic control, what do you notice, and talk about these things, and then at the end of the semester write an analysis. Okay, you've been watching this project for 3-4 months, what did you learn about it? They brought talking points to class. We could debrief on different things that they were noticing. Measures of success. We did a lot, we covered a lot, but was it worth it? Course objectives, you know, we asked professionals what's most important. So we're looking at real preparation. So we invited these professional engineers. One of the things with all our site visits, with all the guest speakers, I always asked them, tell us about your career path. How'd you get interested? Where did you start? Where does it lead? What are your job responsibilities? This was great to give students more exposure to what kind of opportunities there are in construction management. So they're talking to real people. The construction site visits right here, this is things that are taking place. They could see actual work that they could be involved in a year or two. Real places. Those weekly observation reports, real applications of what they were learning in class. From the students' feedback, which we'll share in a couple more slides, real impact. The students really appreciated what they got. One of the students that was up here this morning, Jose Amarin, he was in our class, and he said, wow, that's one of the top classes I've had. And it's not because of me, it's because it introduced a new area to him. So real impact for our students, and also real work. So our students are getting employment opportunities, both as interns and full-time employment in the construction area. Student feedback. So at the end of the semester, took some feedback from students. So has the class helped you learn about construction management? 4.1. What about some of the things we did in class? Site visits, students love that, 4.4 out of 5. Guest speakers, they really love that too, 4.1. So those were meaningful aspects of the class. Asked them about their interest level in construction management. So my guess was, my hypothesis was, they signed up for the class, so they started with some interest. either immediate to a strong interest. So I figured it's going to be 3 or higher. If it's lower than 3, I've done something wrong.